What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another UBC video. Welcome to two members of the division, one of which you already know in Vince, and the other, I'd like to make a warm welcome to Sam. Hello,
Hello.
Sam.
Hello.
Hello. So we have just wrapped up season 4 of the UBC. The final was played this week at some point. So what we're going to do is we're just going to run through how the playoffs, each of the playoff matches, how they went, and we're all going to take it in turns. So Sam is up first. He's going to talk us through the quarterfinals.
Lovely. So I think I'm going to go with Nick versus Zach first in the quarters. So Nick went 7-3 in the regular season, and Zach went 5-5. Started off okay, a little bit haxy throughout the match. I'm sure, as you guys have watched it, I'm sure you have.
Yep.
Early sort of things that happened. I thought Nick got a little bit unlucky. There was a play, Volcarona versus Mew. Mew went for a rock tomb, went 51%, and then got 47 on the following turn and hit with Firium Z. I don't know what you want to call it, Inferno Overdrive, I think it is, and took about 90%. Did end up killing the Volcarona afterwards, but that was a lot, and sort of, I think, put Nick on a little bit of tilt throughout that. Tentacruel was a nice little set with Acid Spray to reduce special defense. Got a lucky poison with Sludge Bomb. I think he actually got a few throughout the match. A couple flinches with Waterfall on the Gyarados versus Fable to bring that down. Got very lucky because he shouldn't have actually gone for the second Dragon Dance and ended up getting the Gyarados knocked out when he didn't need to. Nick's Rock Tomb was not, I don't think, EV'd right. Obviously, could have EV'd a little bit more into attack to take out the Volcarona, or at least give him a better chance to kill it without having to take all that damage. And again, it didn't actually break a sub on the Mimikyu. I'm not sure I broke down the teams, but I'm sure someone will do that in a minute. And
yeah, that'll be on the screen. Don't worry.
Yeah, going on the screen as well. Zach had a lot of setup with Dragon Dance, Gyarados, Mimikyu, Bulk Up, Sub, and Sub Buzzwole as well. So maybe Nick could have prepped a little bit better for that.
All the setup lines.
Yeah, basically, which is obviously what he said as well he was going to do. I think that Nick might have been a little bit more worried about Zygarde, which he didn't actually bring. I think he brought it to every other game in the season except this one, so I think he probably prepped a little bit for that. As I'm sure we've gone through, Nick's team is pretty passive, with his only real sort of offensive ones being Salamence and Infernape, which both came and did get a kill each, I think, at least one. Just got a little bit unlucky throughout it and ended up having to make a couple plays and couldn't do it to sort of cap it off. Anyone sort of see anything different than I did?
No, I agree with everything. I mean, Zach prepped very well. In my opinion, he brought all the offense that he needed to. And again, that Buzzwole pickup, you'll all see an interview that's going up, but Buzzwole was kind of very clutch in this match.
He brought all three mons that he picked up, I think, week 8. He brought all 3 of them, so Nick might not have seen exactly what his plans were versus them. Obviously, Mimikyu and Buzzwole were the 2 that did the most damage versus him.
Yeah.
No. I kind of agree with that. And I think the big problem for Nick this match was just his team was just too passive to try and deal with such a probably spitting image of hyper offense.
Yeah.
Zach. His only chance was trying to toxic all of them to death, really.
Yeah, and obviously with Tentacruel, that become a little bit more difficult, especially with Acid Spray and a few things like that. So I think Zach prepped really, really well. Nick prepped pretty well, but obviously could have done a little bit better with, I think, the EVs on Mew, got a little bit unlucky with rolls. Things like that is just a little bit unfortunate on his side, because obviously Nick being one of the best battlers in the league, just a little bit unlucky, really. I think we all thought he was going to win, but couldn't pull off.
Yeah. And then at least he lost to the champ. That's all that matters.
Exactly.
He can proudly say he lost to the champion.
Yeah, I beat him. There we go. So I feel like maybe I am interim, something like that, maybe.
This works. Transit property.
Yeah. Are we going to move on to the second game of the quarters?
Yeah, go for it.
Bill and Danny / Will both had bye weeks. So the second one is a little bit closer to home. It was myself versus Zex, or X as you call him, Sean,
It's X.
Wait and call.
It's not, but there we go.
We'll ask
this
him.
one-
We'll ask him.
Being a little bit close to home, I will run through the team this time. So Zex brought Victini, Weavile, Nihilego, Lucario, Celebi, and Gliscor. I've got Arcanine, Hippowdon, Charizard Y, Excadrill, Avalugg, and Hydreigon. On my side of things, I feel like I sort of out-prepped myself, unfortunately. I did make an initial team in which I had skill swap Crest to deal with the toxic Gliscor, but the entire team was weak to Glycopod, which he didn't actually end up bringing. So I was a little bit gutted about that, which is why the Avalugg is there. Obviously, it does okay against Gliscor, but throughout the match, I don't think I played well in the early stages. I think I got Gliscor, Avalugg, not Gliscor, Hippowdon, Avalugg, and Hydreigon all toxic by Gliscor, just trying to switch about throughout it. I thought my Arcanine was prepped perfectly to deal with the Victini. Obviously, he brought Sub-Victini, which Snarl goes through, and ended up breaking down his special attack, which worked out sort of perfectly for him.
Did you know Snarl went through sub when you were prepping?
Yeah, all sound moves. Yeah, that was something. Because I think every week he brought it, 1 out of 2 was sort of his subset. Yeah. So I sort of expected that to come, and a special set, obviously, because Arcanine Intimidate, V-Create does absolutely nothing. So I sort of prepped my Arcanine just perfectly enough with the EVs to take 2 of everything. Throughout the start, I sort of got a little bit bogged down with all the psychics and that, and I actually tried to sort of make a couple of predictions, getting Charizard and Hydreigon in to break down the Gliscor, because as soon as Gliscor was gone, Excadrill put in quite a bit of work. Ended up getting everything sort of toxic. Eventually got my Hydreigon in versus Gliscor, and managed to get sort of a lucky crit with Draco to bring him down. So the Gliscor went down, and then Hydreigon then went down to toxic as well. It got in the Hippowdon, and this is where I sort of ruined the game. Had I EQ'd or switched out into Charizard to sack it versus Weavile switching into Nihilego to save the sand, I would have won. I didn't. I went for Stealth Rock because I still thought that was important at the time. And then about a minute later, I realised what I'd done. So I didn't have enough sand terms. Excadrill came in, picked up, I think, 4 kills. I think it killed Weavile, Victini, Lucario, and Celebi all under the sand. And then it got to Nihilego. I ran out of sand, and Nihilego just picked all 3 of my Pokemon off for Power Gem, because I think I was at 1%, something like that, left with Excadrill. Assault Vest really helped, because obviously Vacuum Wave could have killed me from the Lucario, so I managed to live on about 3. Excadrill picked up a lot of kills as it did all season. I think it ended up on 17 kills after the playoffs, but I misplayed on taking out sand. 1-2 turn too soon. Otherwise, it would have been me, and I would have obviously won the championship.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I don't think I would have beaten Danny, but there we go.
Yeah, Garchomp kind of just ruined you. So. Yeah.
Anyone else? Any thoughts on that one?
I only have one thing to say, and I didn't actually get a thank you for the Excadrill set, so I'm just going to take this moment to get a thank you.
Set? The Assault Vest you did mention, which I did end up using. I changed it about 4 different times. As I said, I think I sort of lost myself in prep. The last second as well, I changed a Rindo Berry on Hippowdon to stop Grass Knot on the Nihilego, and then that exact situation came up. So I sort of messed with myself a little bit, but there we go.
It's one of the things you can't knock yourself down too much, so you can't prep really that situationally. I mean, he didn't have many bar Celebi. I didn't have many grass moves on his team anyway.
I mean, that was the problem. I prepped situationally perfectly for what happened, and then changed my mind.
Yeah, it happens. Believe me.
Yeah, there we go. I think it was one of the best battles throughout the playoffs. Obviously, finishing a 1-0, but there we go.
Yeah, it was a good battle. It was enjoyable, and I think you definitely were unlucky. In the respect that it ended up 1-0, but I mean,
myself.
As much as he loves people crediting him, I'll do it anyway. He kind of saw the end game. In Brutal Honest, better than you, so he planned out the sand turns. He knew what he needed to do in Nihilego. So, props to X for coming through on that.
Nah, fun. Nah.
X. Right, so that wraps up the quarterfinals. I mean, Zach and X went through into the semi-finals. We played the two. The first and the second best player from the regular season, who both got buys into the semi-final. I'm not going to go anywhere near as in depth as Sam just did. Props to you, Sam, for what you just talked about. But my memory isn't that good from these
It was
battles.
a lot easier because I played in one of them.
Yeah, exactly. When you're involved in playoffs, I think you are a little
It's always
bit
easy
more.
to analyze yourself. Always easy to analyze yourself.
Yeah, it still haunts my dreams. So you know,
It's vivid. So we head into the first semi-final. So I'll just talk about Bill versus Zach. So it was first place overall versus the sixth seed, who obviously went on to be champion, Zach. And I mean, the only thing to mention really is that I mean, this is an incredibly hacksy match. And what, like 50-60% of those kind of bits of hacks were extremely crucial. I'm sure Bill will back my case. But to be fair, Bill, based on your season, I know you back yourself throughout the regular season about how not important some of those bits of hacks you got throughout the regular season were, but we all definitely disagree. So it's kind of come back to haunt you a little bit. But I mean, you had it. From your perspective, I think it was really important because you had it wrapped up until the point that Taunty ironically misses a hurricane against a Volcarona, in which by that point you would have won. But I can't remember what you had. I think you had Mega Latias left. I think you had Entei and Taunty. I imagine you had Superpower for Snorlax. So it was extremely unfortunate. And you got yourself into that situation. But despite that, I mean, 7 pieces of hacks throughout the battle, and you were both relatively even on those fronts. And yeah, if I look for the match, I mean, Zach's Snorlax set being a curse set was just kind of ruined you, to say the least. But bar that, I mean, the only thing that really you could have done with the rocks on Zach's side of the field, but that discharge paralysis on turn 1 was kind of it got the battle. It started off in a bad tone for you, and he ended up getting rid of rocks and killing the Empoleon, who was quite an important part of the squad's take on things like Volcarona and Mimikyu as well. So yeah, that was super unfortunate. But look, Bill, you had a great season. I think you went 9-1. And it was ironic that you went out to hacks, but yeah, all credit to Zach again. He's the champion, so there's no discredit to you. So yeah, Zach ended up winning that 2-0. We're going to the second match, which was X, the winner against Sam, or Zex, X, whatever. He faced off against Will's team, who actually Will went off to Poland. I think I mentioned this in the season review, but Will went off to Poland, so his good mate Danny was he took over his team, and I think Will was kind of shadowing anyway, so it was 2v1 in some essence. But
yeah, Will's helping with prep.
Yeah, so he helped him with prep. I think he was there for the battle as well. But I mean, it was a very close battle. X, I didn't feel like you had the offense to match, but certainly you gave it your best shot. Sub Victini again, that gave Danny a lot of issues, even with a Garchomp. You had a good set. The only issue I had with the Victini set, and you may have just decided that it wasn't a good idea, but maybe Hidden Power Rock for the Rotom Heat may have been a good idea, because like with Sam's Arcanine, you just kind of get shut down. And like the sub is just it's useless at that point. So that was my only suggestion, to perhaps get a little bit more chip damage on that. But yeah, it was all very much tied until I think it was 3 turns from the end, when X didn't actually bring a fire move on Celebi for Mega Scizor, because he thought he had all the checks that he needed to. In the end, it come to bite him in the butt, because he brought Swords Dance Scizor, which just, I think it killed the Weavile, the Electros, and the Celebi, or something like the last 3 Pokemon. So props to Danny for being brave and not really caring about the Hidden Power Fire and just going for it. And he just he cleaned up with Bullet Punch and Knockoff.
I think in the chat he was saying, "Oh, good game." I think because was certain that Hidden Power 5 was coming.
Yeah,
I think we all were.
I think we all were. Yeah, I mean, it ended up 2-0 in Danny's favour. I mean, big props to Danny, because I know you'll have Will there behind the scenes with you, but I mean, you're coming into a fresh season, going straight into playoffs with a team that you've never really used in the past. And in essence, you do have a lot of pressure on your shoulders, because it's one of your good friends' teams at the end of the day, so you don't want to kind of shame it, so to speak.
Yeah.
So,
I will say that team that he put together, Will did. I think that's one of the best teams we've seen in the UBC put together wise.
yeah,
Gosh, is all that core is fantastic. I tried to emulate it myself this season, but there we go.
yeah. I mean, the synergy
That's
of it, the synergy of it is incredible between Garchomp, Rotom, Heat, Umbreon. There's a lot of bulk. There's also a lot of offensive prowess in terms of diversity with move pools and things like that. And then
That
obviously you
tail
got
baton pass.
you got Mega Sizzle, which has kind of inspired me to draft it for the following season. So yeah, I mean, props to you. Firstly, Will, because you drafted an incredible team and got yourself into playoffs. And then for also giving advice to your friend Danny, which obviously isn't easy, because you may, like, 2 against 1, it may seem like, oh, it's in your favour, but there may be like disapprovals or whatever. So
disagreements, yeah,
disagreements, whatever. So to come out 2-0 against one of the, dare I say, better battlers of the league, was a fine performance, and one in which you thoroughly deserve. So good job, Zach and Danny, who went through to the final.
Yep. So now we come down to our last battle of the season. And at the Sean. Looking at it, so we had a matchup of Mega Garrus, Snorlax, Zapdos, Tentacruel, Zygarde, Meowstic on Zach's team against Will and Danny's Mega Scizor, Garchomp, Rotom, Nidoqueen, Swallow, and Primarina. So pretty much a lot of the same typical characters that you'd expect from their team. I think Swallow is probably the only one that surprised me in the overall, just because he didn't bring it too often this season anyways. And looking at it, it literally looked like a really well even matchup when you just looked at team preview. Yeah, I really thought it could go either way. And the real turning point was just when Earthquake Tentacruel, and he had the
Sugarberry, yeah.
Sugarberry. That really turned the tide. That was a great bring to have that. It got rid of Danny's biggest offensive threat, based off just pure power, and really allowed then Zach to control the match from there, where he could then bring in Snorlax as needed. Gara got a kill, Zygarde got another kill. Danny could do after Garchomp went down. There really wasn't much.
I think Tentacruel and Snorlax are two ones that Zach is really, really comfortable with, and I think all 3 playoff games, and then
absolutely
away from there. Again, there was a few bits of hacks, as there always is with a game with Zach, either in his favour or not. And one of the other things I think Will and Danny brought was Wonder Room Primarina, which
I was just about to say that. Yeah, that was a surprising bring, and one I think it's a great bring. Why not bring everything you got in the final match? Almost worked out for him. Like I said, if Garchomp doesn't go down, I think that one room becomes incredibly crucial. Unfortunately, with Garchomp going down, there wasn't much Danny could do after that.
It was really important to will that game, or Danny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just to solve the wound, Zach just had to paralyze Scizor and Primarina. I liked, but
yeah, I mean, if we talk about like team matchups as well, I mean, it's all good from the outside perspective, kind of judging what's good and what's not. But until you've actually prepared for a team, you don't know kind of how well your team actually matches up. You've got move pool, you've got all kinds of things that go into consideration. If someone like Will is bringing a Wonder Room Primarina, your back's kind of against the wall. So Will's obviously spotted something. I think was the Wonder Room for Snorlax in the end. I think it was.
I think it was against the cursed Snorlax to take the
Curse
defense.
Snorlax.
Is that how Wonder Room works?
Yeah, it swaps the Spadef defense stats, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean that. I mean, it was an incredible idea. Don't get me wrong, and I mean that may not be the case, but ultimately, I've never really seen Will kind of prepare like that. Usually, he's quite. If he's going differently, he's usually more offensive. So a baton pass into whatever that mon was last season, where he just cleaned. I can't remember the name of it.
So,
Necrozma, yeah. And it just kind of cleaned up. So I think he's more offensive that way. But yeah.
Could have been the occasion again. I think this was his second finals, which he lost. I think season 1 versus Robbo. Season 2, not season 2, and this season as well, he lost in the final again. So obviously really good. Just maybe this situation getting to him.
Yeah, exactly.
I definitely think there's a reason he brought the Wonder Room for it, because like he could have just brought Girder instead to take care of Snorlax.
Yeah, once it's got a few curses up, I mean, I don't know what Girder's doing then. Probably doing like max 20%. With Drain Punch. So
Drain Punch, it's only good fighting type move, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, Snorlax was picked up quite early again by next season by Robbo, so it shows how
Snorlax is making
good of a Pokemon.
That curse, like I said, is just becoming like a staple in our league now.
It really is.
It's good. I wanted it banned.
I dread it. I dread playing anyone with Snorlax. I hate it.
You also wanted Crestland, Sam, but then you go and draft it, so...
I didn't draft it. I picked it up when some idiot dropped it.
Same thing. Right.
I dropped Cloud.
So, has anyone got anything else to say about that battle? Any other commentary?
No, I mean, like I said, it was a really good battle. I think both sides prepped fairly well. Zach's way that really kind of turned on.
Bit less hacks and have the match that we deserved in the final, but obviously good match for both in the end, because everyone's got to play in the same situation.
Yeah, exactly. And it was somewhat a battle of the underdogs as well, because Zach wasn't expected to reach there, and neither was Danny, obviously being the new guy into a good previous battlers team who's away. So it was from that perspective, it was nice to see. Not like, for instance, if we put it in football terms, because you both like football, it's not like seeing a Chelsea Arsenal final. It's like seeing a Burnley Crystal Palace, which is.
I mean, I like seeing a Chelsea final, but
well, yeah, that's because I'll put it in maybe Arsenal United. Then no one likes Man United.
That's better. That's much
better. No one likes seeing that.
Birmingham.
Arsenal made a nice thing, but
did I just hear Birmingham? How dare you? Where are you over again? Let's not talk about football. A lot of these people don't know what we're talking about. They probably think we're talking about throwing balls rather than kicking them. Right. That wraps it up. For everyone in the UBC that's watching, it's been a great season. Thank you all for being so proactive with getting your battles done and for entertaining us with some of your ridiculous sets, and also, I mean, it was a really, really close season. In terms of, there was no one but outside of Bill who just blew the league away that really stood out. There were some close battles. So
and even lost his first playoff game.
Yeah, exactly. So props to everyone. And we'll go again next season.
The one seed never won.
Let's go season 1.
The number 1 seed has never won. Robbo always gets in as like a 5 or 6 seed.
Yeah. Well, that's a lesson to us all. Then don't do. Just do averagely like Zach did.
Just get into the playoffs.
That's all you have to do.
Is that what you've been trying to do, Sean? And then just accidentally mess up last week?
Believe it or not, I have. But then I'm always in the division where someone just turns up out of the blue. I was in the season with Venno where he went 7-3, and then I'm with Bill who's 9-1. So basically, Vince, don't turn up next season. I feel like you're going to be the one who's going to go like 11-0. And just tear it out.
You're talking me up though now. It's not going to happen.
And Sean still won't make it just on differential.
Yeah, just on differential. Yeah. Usually.
I really hope it's me and Tanner that makes it from our division. I don't want Nick to make it again.
Yeah, it could be. I could go 0-10 and be really depressed. So, at least it's not that.
Yeah, you could. Have done it.
Exactly. Right. So I think this has been going on for about 20 minutes where we wanted to keep it at. So thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back sometime in the near future for more interviews, more kind of weekly reviews. So
Maybe some
look out for
analysis.
them.
We'll see.
Look out for them. Look out for them.